If you're trying to buy your first Airbnb in 2025, you've probably run into a wall with financing. Here are the three main types of loans that I have used and that I recommend for first time investors. One of the most common things that holds people back is not knowing how they're going to qualify. I've personally used all three of these, and I've helped my clients use the same. This video will help you understand which option is good for your goals, your time frame, and your income situation. All right, so number one is going to be a vacation home loan. Now, this is going to be the lowest down payment option you've got, and traditionally lenders will go down to 10% down on these loans. We've got some unicorn lenders that'll go all the way down to 5% down on your first Airbnb property. So that is going to be a good thing about the vacation home loan. A couple things with this is number one, you must qualify only on your personal income, meaning if you've got a W-2 job, or if you're a business owner, whatever your personal income is, you need to qualify solely just on that source. Number two is you've got to stay in it for at least a couple weeks per year. And, maybe this includes like the setup time if you're going to go out to be setting up your furniture. So ultimately picking a market where you wouldn't mind traveling to with your friends or your family and using it some is going to help you qualify for these vacation loans. Now, these lenders still allow you to rent it out on Airbnb when you're not using it. So that's ultimately going to be good to know. This is the best option if you want a low down payment, but you do have to have that income and you've got to have some solid credit. Most lenders are looking for at least, I would say, a 640 on these types of loans. And again, pro tip, we do have a lender that goes all the way down to 5% down. They're just licensed in specific states, but there can be good deals done in all of those states. Actually, most of my deals, this lender actually funds. The second type of loan is going to be an investment property loan, and these lenders are going to want that 15 to 20% down range. Now, on these investment loans, you're still going to need your income to qualify, but what this lender will do is it will also add in the projected rental income from the property you're buying as well. So they'll take your job plus the expected rents of that property, and that's how they're going to calculate your total income. So you're going to be in a little bit better of an income situation on the investment loan versus the vacation home. They can be more flexible in the vacation home loans as well, just in, the types of properties there are and the specific markets. Again, really, if the rent is, somewhat close to the mortgage, that's really going to help, when it comes to qualifying for these types of properties. Another good thing is you could buy anywhere, no need to stay there. So let's say you want to operate completely remotely and you have zero interest in ever visiting your Airbnb property. This might be a better fit when it comes to lender guidelines and, ultimately what you're going to need to tell them your intended use of the property is. And this could just be a good middle ground. If you can't qualify with just your personal income, but the projected rent on the property that you are buying, will help push you over the edge. This would probably be the next best option for you. And then loan option number three is going to be a DSCR loan. This stands for debt service coverage ratio. And these lenders are going to want 20 to 25% down. But ultimately, these lenders only care about the property and its performance. So as long as the property rents for more than what the mortgage is, or your projected Airbnb revenue is more than what the mortgage is, if you're willing to put the 20 to 25% down, the bank will give you the loan. They're not looking at tax returns or W-2s. They can also be a lot more flexible on credit too. If you have poor credit and you try to go with one of the first options, probably not going to work. But again, these DSCR lenders, really, they only care about the property itself and not you as an individual. And these can also be good for, self-employed borrowers or, investors who, ultimately have a bunch of mortgages, but not a ton of tax returns to show the rental history on. Or if you just switched your job and you're a commission-based, employee and you can't prove a history of that. Or, a business owner with massive write-offs, right? Because again, they're not looking at you personally. They are more so focused on the property itself. So which one of these do I recommend? Well, if you're a first-time investor and you've got a good job, you've got good credit, and you can qualify for it, I recommend going with the vacation home loan. Reason being is you're going to have more options if you do not own any properties, and this is going to be your first one. Lenders can get kind of squirmish, when it comes to heavy duty investors that already have a bunch of loans. Like me personally, I cannot walk into a vacation home lending bank and apply for another loan with a low down payment. I just got too many properties, and ultimately they're going to assume that it's going to be an investment regardless on what I tell them. But if you've just got your primary residence, or maybe you rent where you're currently living, if you go to apply for a vacation home loan, there's going to be no questions asked as far as your intentions with it. And what this also will allow you to do is it's going to minimize your cash out of pocket, specifically because you have that low down payment. So either you can hang on to more cash reserves because it's your first property and having extra cash is never going to hurt you. Or if you're planning on scaling this and you want to do 2, 3, 4 deals and eventually own multiple Airbnbs, hang on to that cash for deal number 2. Why go put 20% down when you could put 10 or some cases even 5 and ultimately use the same amount of funds to go buy a second or a third property? Another bonus tip to this too is if you're married or you have a business partner, I'd recommend keeping things separate. That way you can take advantage of a low down payment and then they can as well. Maybe you can even go for 2 of these each and end up with your first 4 properties with these low down payments. Eventually, you will hit a wall, and you're going to need to take advantage of one of these other loans or implement a whole new strategy in general. But for now, I recommend hang on to the cash, use it for another deal, or keep it for reserves and focus on minimizing that cash out of pocket. If you're serious about buying your first Airbnb and you want help with the planning process to make sure you don't waste time or money, I'd invite you to book a free deal planning call. The link is in the description below. It'd be a no pressure conversation just to see what your goals are, where you stand, and then we can also make further recommendations on which loan type we think would be best for you. So if you're looking for help, I'd invite you to book that call. There's a link down below, and we look forward to connecting with you.